There's a publication that was put out in 1997 by the Australian National Training Authority, and the purpose of this document was to provide teachers and trainers with an opportunity to think about their teaching practice. Now, what Good, Better, Best endeavours to do is to identify the sorts of strategies that expert teachers adopt. It asks the questions in the planning phase of, do you research before teaching? Do you consider the structure and sequencing of the teaching? Do you take into account the organisational culture? If someone's working in a public institution, taking into account the organisational structure goes on quite tacitly. But if you're working as a trainer in a private organisation, clearly you have to think about the organisational culture in which you're working, because that's going to influence what's possible and what's not possible. And do you meet learners' needs and expectations? In terms of content and relevance, do you keep up with industry currency? Now, this is designed for the vocational sector, and if one was working in the primary or the secondary sector, the question might be somewhat different. But what the purpose of the question is about is, do you keep your knowledge of your discipline as well as your knowledge of the field of education current? And one of the real difficulties for people working in the vocational sector is they have dual responsibilities. With regard to delivery, do you use effective teaching and learning approaches? Do you communicate effectively with learners, and do you manage effectively? Do you use effective assessment methods, help learners learn from assessments? Here we see a focus on using assessment to support learning, not just to assess an outcome, and evaluate personal practice. This particular document also adds the category of learner-teacher relationships and asks the questions, do you establish a positive learning environment? Do you cater to learners as individuals? And do you use the diversity of the learners to value them?